Hello everybody and welcome to the final one of these tier lists here. We're going to be talking about the Survivor Investigators, and Charlie Kane is going to sneak in here as well. Yeah, I've been doing these for every class before this. If you should check those out, they're all in the video description. This one's going to be pretty chill. Survivors are a little bit strange when they were in the revised core. They were very scrappy. And I'm very curious to see how this goes looking through all of this, because Daryl and Hank are so hyper-focused in their main stat that I don't know how scrappy they're going to feel, right? And I think they might be at odds of how the Survivor card pool is. So I'm very curious to see this all in practice. All right, we're going to start with Wendy Adams. You can see her on the screen here. Wendy has always been good. She's always been a very strong survivor. And she's gotten a lot of boosts from the cards that are currently available for her in the format. Additionally, as Brent always says, you could just kind of run her with a bunch of blank cards and she'll probably also still get the job done, which is a true testament to her ability and her power. Yeah, I think she's going to be fit with this pretty well. But first I want to do what we always do, where we talk about these core investigators and we kind of look at what Survivor has, and we kind of see what they might be missing or needing. I think a big thing that players are going to feel the most in this change is recursion that isn't scavenging, right? Scavenging is obviously good recursion. We're not going to beat around the bush and pretend it isn't. It costs 2 and 4 experience now for both of the versions of it. So that's a testament to the power level of the card, right? What is missing for the recursion is the resourceful. Resourceful has been in the Survivor card pool since Carcosa, and it's a very powerful piece of Survivor recursion. So losing that recursion can actually be a pretty big piece that's gone. Because if you think about it before this, if we I don't even know what to search to find this out. If we just look at scavenging, choose an item, yeah, in your discard pile. You know what, let's just search discard pile. So what do we have for recursion here now? Improvised Shield and Profane Idol technically can recur themselves. Gift of Nodens can recur Survivor skills, which is pretty sweet. However, I do think that this is less impactful in Current than it is in Legacy, because of the real powerful skills that you want to recur existed within the Legacy format, right? Scavenging, Glimmer of Hope technically can recur itself. Improvised Weapon can technically recur itself. Push the Limit can recur items like tools, weapon or tools. Salvage also can bring back items. Grizzled can recur itself, and Persistence can recur itself. But the things we're missing here is Scrounge for supplies to get back level 0s, but also the big one is just Resourceful. I think people don't realize how much that was actually just a glue piece for Survivor. And also, as the card pool got really big, how much of it was actually an unfair amount of glue that held Survivor together. Another thing that we're missing that's going to be really bad, not so much for Wendy, but also just for kind of survivors as a whole, is we've lost Brute Force and to a lesser extent Sharp Vision. Survivors luckily got Contemplative and Longshot, which are 2 nice pieces to add to their pool and just 2 very strong cards. But Brute Force was a high-end big damage event, so big damage skill that they're going to really miss. Losing Short Supply I think is less relevant because that kind of comes into play with the recursion. They were kind of 1-to-1, you know? But I think that's going to be the big thing that survivors are missing. However, I do feel like we're going to go back to some of the survivor vibes that we had before that were very fun back in the early days. So a good thing that's staying around is Look What I Found. We have obviously both Look What I Found 0, which has been reprinted printed 3 times. But there's also Look What I Found 2, which existed in Stella Clark. These are very powerful ways to get clues, especially in 2 players, and Survivor is happy to have more of these. Another thing that's still going to be here is Lucky. All 3 versions. We have Lucky 1, we have Lucky 2, and we have Lucky 3. So there still is this, as I mentioned, scrappy Survivor style that still exists here now that was very fun to play in the early days. This was kind of capstoned by Dark Horse and like Fire Axe. We have the upgraded Dark Horse, which is nice, and the upgraded Fire Axe. And we also have the upgraded Mariner's Compass as well. But I think overall, what survivors are very happy to have from the Stella set is the Derringer, because it's just a good weapon that they can just fight with to get the job done, while using all the other tools that they have at their disposal in the form of Handhook as an event. You don't want to really play this for an asset. You can, but it's better as the event mode. And like Anchor Chain, and then also like Nautical Charts. Like, looking just for ways to get stuff done. And like those are the cards that are going to last the longest. Like Old Keyring 0, here, as far as we can tell, forever. Old Keyring 3, on the other hand, is going to be rotating out with the next cycle. So this one's going to be gone pretty soon. But let's just go through and kind of just look at this. Talk about Wendy. Wendy's very different. She's going to lean heavily on our rogue side. But again, just keep in the back of your mind that thing that Bryn always says, which is that if I have an ability that's as good as Wendy's, all my cards can kind of just be blank. I think a big thing that Wendy's also going to be missing that you see a lot of her use is track shoes. Peter Sylvester. Ways that make her foot better, that were like easily obtained and cheap. She's not going to really have those anymore. So I think it's going to put her in a very interesting spot. Because while Wendy still has lockpicks, she doesn't have good ways to make her foot higher, at least as I can tell off the top of my head. But let's go through and kind of see what she's got here. So yeah, Mariner's Compass, Old Keyring, Nautical Charts, these are all things that she's going to want to take advantage of. I don't think like you could play Hatchet, but again, I think if you're missing those things where you would play the Wendy that fights with Ornate Bow, I think losing all these other pieces is going to make it a little bit harder to kind of just get stuff done, you know? Yeah, we're not freaking with any of these. One thing that's really cool is the discard stuff that came with like Nautical Charts, George Barnaby, all of his things. I think it can be played by any survivor. So they all kind of have that going for them while those cards are in the format. Because Survivor, we're going to see it. We're going to get the part where it's like, oh, here are their dilemmas. Here are their X, Y, and Zs, the random mechanic that they had. They were actually very focused in the Drowned City box. And they got a lot of good specialist cards because of the Drifter trait. The Drifter trait got a lot of very nice specialist cards. And we're going to check those out as well. But I think as a whole, Drowned City was a very good box for the Survivor class. And I think they're going to have a lot to work with coming out of this cycle. And they're going to be comfortable leading into the next one. So I think they have that going for them, which is very nice. So again, Profane Idol, and then also the Improvised Shield. These got a little bit of a boost. This card's going to be going first. Man, I feel like it was just yesterday I spoiled this card too. Holy hell. What happened to time, man? It's just going. But yeah, this one is going to be really nice because you have the ability to discard from your hand for payoffs. So these are easier to get out there for soak if you do need it. I don't think Wendy Adams is necessarily going to need it, but that is something that you could definitely consider. Looking back at the accessory slot as well, like Token of Faith 3 it's good. It's a good card. Rabbit's Foot was something we actually played back in the day with Wendy. I don't know if we're going to see it today. There's going to probably be some more competition, especially if we do go the lockpicks route. But I think a big thing for that is going to depend on if we can buff our stats. But luckily, allies in Survivor, the choice, we have some nice choices here. Upgraded Granny Orn is a very strong ally that just, like, gets crap done. And she's just, like, very good at making sure that everyone is kind of protected. Really nice for Wendy Adams to get to that 8 with lockpicks, which is generally a number we want. Wendy also has some security for her lockpicks. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. This is the third one of these videos today. Wendy has some of the benefit of lockpicks where she can use her ability to, a token that would break a pick, she can get a mulligan, which I think is kind of neat for her to do. And then also Lawrence Carlisle as well. I'm going to imagine I'm going to go Lawrence Carlisle into Granny Orn quite a bit with Wendy. And honestly, Wendy might be a good place for me to start with this current format. Yeah, really nice allies there. Granny Orn, Lawrence Carlisle, very, very tough. Tough to beat those guys. I mean, I think even Granny Orn, she's a tough old bird, right? Yeah, see? Tough, old bird. Gift of Nodens, again, we're going to look at the skills when we get there to see how relevant this card is, but I do think it dropped out quite a bit, losing Resourceful and Brute Force and Sharp Vision. There still is, I said, Long Shot, Contemplative, and the new Last Chance. Those are still very powerful cards, but I do think this missed a little bit of juice with the rotation that happened here. Hunting Jacket, stellar card. Stellar card here for resource generation. Also some good soak for Wendy. I think she'll really enjoy playing with it. Interesting to see if this card takes any sort of shape in Current. I don't know if it's going to, but it could potentially get like some sort of impact on the format. I'd be curious to see. Matchbox is going to be really good. You're going to just see this in a lot of Survivors, even in like fighting Survivors. And I think that that's going to be pretty hype for the class to just kind of have more of this. Obviously, Sparrow Mask is still very good. Scavenging will probably start making its way back into the meta with a smaller card pool. So, like, that's a really nice thing that we have here. A little bit problematic because the cards are very powerful, but it's something that is, I think, relevant. And I do agree, Ample Supplies does play better than it reads, especially because, like, if you're already discarding for value, why not get more value? But I imagine Wendy's not going to need it because she can just rob a bank or wear a hunting jacket instead. Dark Horse, Deja Vu, Quick Learner. Wendy could still go the Leo DeLuca Quick Learner route, which is actually a legitimate deck for her to approach with. I think that's actually not a bad place for her to be. So there is some good stuff there. Again, look what I found. Mythos Protection. I think these, the Catch and then the other one, Unconventional Methods, I think are both going to also be pretty okay. I don't know much about Catch, but I think Unconventional Method is always going to be great. At a Crossroads, great card draw. So Survivors are happy they have that. Elaborate Distraction, don't sleep on it. The card actually is pretty sick. End of the Road is going to be nice for this last cycle, just as like a good card to just like round out the rest of your deck in a Survivor build. I run these all the way to Scenario 8, and I'm never unhappy. I usually only keep one of them in my deck because you're just kind of like always happy to see it. But you don't really want to hold two of them for a long time. But Wendy can also use these for her abilities. Again, don't forget that Bryn's voice in the back of your head talking about that part of things. Good Weather is good in higher player counts. The upgrade Improvised Weapon, not for Wendy, but flagging that for Hank is really nice, and even George Barnaby. Heed the Dream is good card draw, and I think people should play it more, especially on higher player counts. It's free as well, which is really nice. Live and Learn is also really fun to have still in the Survivor class. Survivor actually got a lot of cards from Stella that are happy to keep around. Nature of the Beast, not you. Oops 2 was returned to. Oh, you're back to the fucking bin, brother. Back to the bin. Shadow Light's going to be nice to have for this last cycle. And Push the Limit's going to be nice for the key rings as well. Skills. I mean, there's still a good number. Contemplative and Long Shot are going to do a lot of heavy lifting in this new format. You can You could guarantee that. Last Chance as well, I think is going to see a lot of play. Gumption's fine. Persistence is fine. Take Heart being here still is also really good for Survivors. Survivors from Stella got a lot of cards that just exist in their identity, which I think is super hype for Survivors. I think that while, like, Seeker and Guardian are probably stronger than Survivor, I think Survivor has more cohesion and will have a lot of good pieces stay and will just, like Seeker and Guardian will always be strong because of Stella's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good stuff here to still do with Gift of Nodens. Like, it's certainly not a bad card because Recursion is still always good. Contemplative, Grizzled, Gumption, Last Chance, Long Shot, Persistence, Take Heart, Unexpected Courage even, Survival Instinct. These are all skills that I would like to recur to Gift of Nodens. I think the ceiling is lower, but, like, the floor is still pretty high for that card. All right, let us check out our rogue cards again here. So Lockpicks. Lockpicks is super relevant here. British Bulldog, also really good for Wendy. But remember, there's no good way to boost her foot outside of, what's it going to be? Catbug over here? Thieves' Kit is fine. I don't know how excited I am for this card in Wendy. I think just Lockpicks is still just better. The Lucky Cigarette Case is nice. Yeah, Cat Burglar, Leo DeLuca. Don't think I really want to frick with Dirty Fighting too much with Wendy. Fox Mask? Yes, please. Again, Mask is very good. Where's the Party is good card draw. Bank Job, like I said, is good money. Breaking and Entering is really nice. Friends in Low Places is good searching. There's, I mean, Sneak Buy's fine. Slip Away is also alright. There's actually not too much here on the rogue side, but like Lockpicks and Leo DeLuca are going to do a lot. We're missing things like Quick Thinking. Just like the small value rogue cards, like obviously like Faustian Bargain. I think like Bank Job still does a good job of filling that hole a little bit, but I think we are going to miss those cards. And then we also should check out the neutrals. Obviously, Flashlights and Survivors are still super relevant. We have one more cycle with this Flashlight 3. Nose of the Grindstone. It's back, baby. You can't escape it. And honestly, let's actually see how many Survivors can play it. Not you. Not you. Oh my god, only 2 of them. That's crazy. So this is still more of a rogue card. But still very good with Lockpicks. Not a bad thing to have here. So yeah, Nose of the Grindstone, still relevant. eCash is True Awakening. Sorry, where was the other one too? Bound for the Horizon. This is a very good card. Very nice piece to have here for just people who can play it. Pathfinder, sorry, no, it is Pathfinder. Pathfinder's gone. So this movement is now going to live in smaller places. You know what's also gone? Shortcut. Movement is going to be so much harder now. And the classes who can get free movement, whether it be through Safeguard or Bound for the Horizon, are going to like have to not find tempo in other ways, which is going to be very nice for them. And then, yeah, this card's very good. True Awakening. All right, Wendy, I think your card pool looks pretty legit. I think you're going to be really good. I think you're going to have a smooth ride, and I think I'm going to put you above Jacqueline. I'm going to put you there. Just because your ability is so good, your card pool is sick, your stat line is incredible, and you kept a lot of the Survivor stuff. Very nice showing from Wendy to start off the Survivors here. Let's go on to Stella next, and Stella is an interesting thing to talk about here. Because Stella is obviously still very good. Because Quick Learner... I actually had a brain fart. I was like, Quick Learner, no, that's Daniel's channel. That's not what the card is called. No, it's called Quick Learner. Quick Learner is still very good. But Stella is actually losing the easy way to loop her cycle forever. She can still do it. She can still do the Neither Rain Nor Snow loop with Gift of Nodens. But what she is losing is, again, Resourceful. And what's the card called with the lady? You guys know the card. Someone will remember the name before I do. True Survivor. Just kidding, chat. I won. You lost. This card is very good with Resourceful and Stella's ability. This was kind of like the disgusting thing that Stella could do. And I think without that, her signature, which is Neither Rain Nor Snow, is going to be a lot more fair. However, she can still recur it with Gift of Nodens. So there is still some of that she can work with here. Albeit, I think that Quick Learner is going to generally be more fair. And I think that Stella is going to be good, but not great. There's really not much I have to say about Stella here, because we kind of already talked about all of it with Wendy. She plays the Derringer. Like, she'll go into these weapons more than Wendy will, right? She has the Derringer. She shoots the Derringer. If she misses, she gets to shoot again. She has the old key ring. If she misses, she gets to key again. She has the upgraded old key ring, which works very well with Quick Learner, right? So she has that payoff up here. She has Shed a Light and Exploit Weakness for another cycle, so that's really good for her. She has Granny Orn, which is very good for Stella. Turns into a 4-3-3-4. That's a pretty alright stat line. Oh yeah, let's look at her specials cards. That's something that will be new. When you enter a location, exhaust it. Each non engages you and you cannot deal damage. Yeah, that does seem pretty alright for her. She has True Awakening, holy hell. She has Motivational Speech as well. Ay, caramba. I mean, Motivational Speech probably is not for her, but True Awakening is really nice. Lawrence Carlisle again. I think Stella's going to just be... She's going to play exactly how she does. Just without, like, that really easy, really disgusting loop. So I think that's going to be a big thing that's going to change for Stella coming up here. Is just like her... The gross part of her build is going to be less gross. But overall, she goes, look what I found. She has Tests of Wills. She still has Grit Your Teeth, thank God. Yeah, Exploit Weakness and then Shed a Light. She has this Lifeline for one more cycle as well. What the hell? She's got the card draw. Yeah. I think I'm going to put her in the A tier as well, and I'm going to put her... Survivors are looking pretty good, aren't they? Survivors are looking like they're going to be okay. Yeah, I'm going to put her in the A tier. Because again, she just has her box. She has, it's all working out for her. I don't really have much more to say about Stella. She's very straightforward. It also helps that she's just the mono survivor, so... Alright, our boy Daryl Simmons. Alright, now we gotta start talking about some interesting stuff here. So what I would like to do is I'm gonna search evidence, and let's just see what he has that generates evidence. Kind of fricked up that it's only secret cards, huh? Feels like it's that's a little bit sus from the designers here. I'm gonna just say it. So obviously he has his signature in Daryl's Kodak. And he still has Empirical Hypothesis, which came out of him. So like that's still very good. What did he lose? Ah, he lost the Hawkeye folding camera. That does actually seem to be an impact. So clue drop's still a thing. Am I like only showing level 0 cards? No. I'll be honest, guys, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by this guy's stuff. For the evidence stuff. So the problem that I have with this is that because there are so few ways to add evidence reliably, it means that you don't get to use empirical hypothesis as much for its ability, which is kind of the reason you play the card. I've had varying different situations with Daryl for how powerful he was. When I've seen him in 3 and 4 player, his ability was pretty impressive. In 2-player, I actually think he's good. He's not going to be below A tier. Like, there's no way. He has 5 book and he has Seeker Survivor card pool, right? But his text is kind of blank, IMO. Yeah, not that impressed by that part of him. You basically just have to run empirical. Because I'm not frickin' with any of these cards. It's basically just these two. That's a bummer. Okay, but he still gets clues like a machine. He still has 5 book and he still has all the survivor stuff for his advantage. Yeah, he still just has magnifying glasses. Nautical charts as well. Like, you can still just run that stuff. And just, like, solve problems, get clues. We're not freaking with weapons with this guy. We're doing just clues. That's going to be the Hank side of thing. The bias plan on experts, all 0 checks are amazing. Yeah, that's true. But even then, like, most of the time, those tests are what, 2 tests? I don't know. Like, I guess, like, yeah, you have, like, your old keyring to make your 4s easier, but I don't know, guys. I'm not... Daryl's not making me sing. Like, I think he's still obviously very good, but he's good because of his card pool, not so much because of his ability. His skill match... Yeah, but still, like, honestly, like, you're reducing 1 test a turn to a 0. I don't know, like, and that's like a 3 or a 4 for just, what, investigating? I don't know. Honestly though, I've never been impressed by Daryl to the way the community is. I think the community or I have some sort of miscommunication for Daryl Simmons, and I'm just not huffing it. Or maybe I'm huffing something different, you know? Chemistry set, baby. Steady-handed, baby. I've only put on an extra where checklist tests are king. It's true. It's true, but I still think that there are, even on what you're talking about, I still think there are better ways to do it than Daryl. And it's called just getting clues for free. Not even doing the test in the first place, or choosing to fail the test and getting a bonus. He is still the best user of Shed a Light that we have here, and Shed a Light is still a very powerful card, but Shed a Light is going to go down in value without having Resourceful around. And if I'm looking at this, I think both Daisy and Harvey are going to get clues better than Daryl. I always forget Wynn's level 2. For some reason in my mind she's level 3. I probably still would take Granny on the high end or Dr. Milan. You could scrounge for Shed a Light. Not in current. Scrounge for supplies is gone. Yeah, that's gone. It's in the pit. There's no way to recur Shed a Light now, is there? And that's why the card gut was really good, because you could play it multiple times. Which is honestly probably for the best. Man, I'm just so bummed that there's like no way to get evidence on cards. Steady-handed's always nice. Yeah, lucky they're good. As I talked about, nature of the beast is also fine. I mean, we have Burning the Midnight Oil too for economy. I love this card so freaking much, chat. I love Burning the Midnight Oil. Okay, I'm gonna look up the word drop. Just remind my clue. All right, what drops clues? You're the payoff. You're the payoff. You drop. Is the word place? You. Oh, no, man. No, there's no way to gain other evidence. All right, I want to look at the skills. Skills are still great. Deduction, long shot. Card pool is insane. Card pool is still nutty. Get the perception 2, get last chance 3. I feel so bad about his ability, though, man. It's so dead now. All right, I'm going to put him at the bottom of A tier, just because those skills are insane. So the bottom of S tier, sorry, bottom of S tier. Forewarned is gone, it looks like. These skills are nuts. Contemplated deduction, last chance, perception. There's so much to do there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Forewarned's gone. Let's check. Yeah, Forewarned is dead in a ditch. Yeah, I'm going to put it at the bottom of S tier. Those skills sold me on it, but I think his ability is dead. I think his ability is gone. I don't think Maelson is that good. He's good at soaking, but I'd rather just make my stats better and win quicker, you know? Rather than spend time not winning, I'd rather just win. Beautiful S tier from our boy. All right, Hank Samson. This one is actually pretty easy for me. So we're going to go Hank Samson. We're going to go trade weapon. And then before I even look at anything else, I'm going to put this guy in B tier, probably below Gloria. So Hank Samson's biggest issue is he has 35 cards in his deck. And he doesn't have a lot of great weapons at making it work. At like making it consistent to beat that 35 deck size. So that's a big reason why our boy Hank is going to be living in the B tier here. I think a good example of this was when I played the Iron Man with Daniel. And the scenarios where, because of his 35 deck size, Hank Samson was not able to get a weapon on the first few turns, there were struggles. And I think the will do good, because Hank did do good, but he did have struggles, is going to carry over into current here. Do I think he's going to be better than Roland for fighting? Yes, just because I think Roland has some other baggage that he needs to deal with. But, like, all we have, Derringer, Fire Axe, Hand Hook. Baseball Bat at level 0. Upgraded Baseball Bat, which is pretty good. But as you can see, Hank is going to have issues. And then, if we remove this, and let's just put damage up here. Like, he has a chainsaw still. If we go to the events, there are ways for him to deal damage. As I mentioned earlier, improvised weapon is going to get the job done for that. And then likewise, he has some of the spirit stuff as well. Counter punch, 1-2 punch, right? He can get some things going. He has the long shot, the strong arm to kind of get some more consistency out of that. But I think overall, Hank's is feeling that survivor part of him in the way that Daniela Reyes doesn't, because worst case Daniela Reyes can just play a machete, right? And also her ability is damage compared to Hank Samson's, which his ability is damage but for him. Hank has a lot of health and stuff to soak through that, but I think Hank's big thing is that he is missing. Actually, here, let's do this the other way. Let's just see what he can play outside of Survivor. He's missing that consistency to make him more reliable. He has Glory from Nacho. Man, Nacho is such a killer set for Guardians. I think Nacho is actually a stronger set for the card pool than Harvey Walters. And that might rub some people the wrong way, but I do truly believe it. I think just that Nacho set has some insane cards in it. Just that Guardian really needed, you know? Like, Stand Together was huge for the Guardian set. Yeah. So get over here is good, especially for his weakness. Counterpunch is good damage. Monster Slayer he could probably run, but remember, he only gets 10 of these, including his innate cards as well. Harvin's 3rd and 4th deduction. What are you, a coward? You can't win with only 2 deductions? Fearless Guts is fine as well. Inspiring Presence is probably going to do pretty good. Strong Arm is nice. Yeah, there's some stuff here. But yeah, no, I think this guy's going to be B tier. And luckily, it's part of this is because I just saw this guy played, and I can see how this transfers over. There's not too much here in the survivor pool that's going to change it too much. And he only gets 10, I think, of his spirits and tactics. His stout-hearted is a relevant card. Yeah, 10 other spirits and innates. Sorry, spirits and innates. Yikes! But yeah, the weapon problem is just such a big thing. Again, we look at the weapons. We got the Derringers, Fire Axe, Baseball Bat. You're probably going to have... Like, you just need, like, 8 weapons to make up for the card size. That's pretty rough. Alright, George Barnaby. So, we all agree that George Barnaby is very strong. Right? We all agree that George Barnaby is a very strong investigator, right? Now, what if I then asked, but where do most of his cards come from? And then you realize that, like, the only card that he's lost is Cornered? Like, what's another discard card that George Barnaby lost in Current? Because the only one I can think of off the top of my head, which admittedly is a big loss, is Cornered. And I'm going to be putting him in S tier. Like, he's going to be S tier for sure. I'm probably going to put him here. But I'm curious, how many people have played George Barnaby with Current? Because obviously he's still going to be very good, but I do think he's going to be less consistent in Current. I think people are overestimating how much Cornered actually just add. Like, so the reason why you're playing Cornered is not because of the skill boost, which is nice for George. But you're playing George is because you need consistent discard that you can trigger when you want to trigger. So why don't we look at what he has that does that? Because that's the question that we're trying to solve here. How many ways can we choose to discard when we want to choose to discard? Anchor chain, hand hook, nautical charts. Those are 3 that we can do during our turn. We can do those during the action phase. Idol of Xanatos when we take damage. Or horror. Artistic inspiration. Okay, this does a good job, but we also can't do it whenever we want. We need to actually use it, but we could use it pretty easily to get there. So this is a good replacement for Cornered, but I'm still feeling the lack of Cornered. Bound for the Horizon is probably the biggest one that we have here. But again, this is only during your turn. But still, I do remember watching Bryn play George, and Bryn had a miles difference between George with Bound for the Horizon and Cornered, or George without Bound for the Horizon and Cornered. Okay. So really the only card that we have is Artistic Inspiration. Okay, I think that's something. And this is how I know, people chat, you guys got to dig deeper. You got to dig deeper in your analysis here. Because I think this is actually a relevant change to George Barnaby. I think not enough to drop him a crazy amount. I think, like I said, I think he's still S tier. But I think people are going to notice a difference. But it's not just because we are missing discarding at any time, but because we are losing another card from our deck that allows us to discard when we want to discard. So even if you only do it during your turn, during skill test during your turn or the Mythos phase, for example, I think that is actually a relevant change here. Get out of here. Gift of Nodens as well. Did I talk about that one? Yeah, Gift of Nodens. Yeah, cornered. Oh yeah, losing forced learning too. That's something. Yeah. So I think it's less about... I think it's just because, remember, like other people in this cycle, our good friend George Barnaby also has 35 cards in his deck. That's very interesting. I think that finding, like, even just losing 2 corners in the long term, or alternatively that forced learning, I think he's gonna have a slower go. I think he's still gonna be very good, and he's still, as far as I can tell right now, an easy S tier. I think I might put him there. But I think there is going to be a noticeable difference between him in Legacy and him in Cornered. All right, I want to look at his splash cards. I want to see what's in there. Because those are just 10 of anything, right? That's 10 of these. That's crazy. Forced Learning, honestly, I'd go with that when I play him again. I don't think you understand what I'm doing here. We're not talking about you. I'm trying to take myself out of this. And I think losing it is a big deal. I think you can, like, you're losing forced learning, but then you're not making up for that discard somewhere else. Like, that is the issue here. So that's like the analysis that we're going at here. For example, if I was playing Legacy, I would not play forced learning in my George Barnaby deck. But I can acknowledge that if I'm losing, when I don't have forced learning, I'm eventually going to get into Cornered. But if I don't have forced learning or Cornered, I've essentially lost 1 permanent or 2 copies of a card to help my consistency out in the long term. That's the thing that we're looking at here, and we're just trying to see how we can make up for that. Because other investigators who are I've already talked about, they haven't really lost anything. Or if I have lost something, they've gone down their power level because of that. I think ultimately what's going on is that right now, people are grading these investigators still with Legacy in mind. And while these investigators are going to be strong with Current, I think that's not proper analysis. Artistic and power, inspiration, and that's 4 cards in your 35 card deck. What happens if you don't hit those? It's the same thing with Hank and his weapons. Then you're just George Barnaby, you're just a 4-book investigator with no ability. That's not gonna be good. When I can just play like a 5-book investigator with no ability and just be better, right? In that case, if I'm George and I haven't hit those cards, I would like to play Daryl instead, and Daryl is at the bottom of S tier, right? Yeah, 4-book investigator with no hand size either! See, like, this is what people are missing. He has a lot of their discards and he draws them so much. What? You're making... I have to stop talking to you. I'm going to just ignore your messages for a bit because you are just tilting me, man. Your analysis is wrong. What if he doesn't draw those discard cards because he doesn't have the first discard cards to draw them? That's what consistency is all about. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're trying to talk about. You're living in a magical world where everything works out, but that's not proper analysis, man. All right, chat, I'm ignoring that guy for a little bit. I gotta just chill. I mean, the Rogue and Seeker Splash is crazy good. But that's no surprise. Rogue and Seeker are very good splash cards. Also, I'm so fucking pissed. I'm so fucking pissed at you guys. I'm giving him an S tier, and you guys are like, no, he's super S tier. Fuck off. Jesus Christ. He's in fucking S tier, you fucking bumheads. Yeah, we want G tier for him. For God tier. I mean, I'm still probably going to play Dr. Milan or Lawrence Carlisle, depending on how other things fit out. They both have the resources, but I actually think, depending on how things go, I think I want to play Dr. Milan for it more. Since a lot of edits on YouTube, no, I don't edit. I put me all out. I even if I'm embarrassed by my overreactions, I gotta leave them in. I had them. There's no shame in having them. There's only shame in not understanding that you shouldn't have had them in the first place. I'm sorry, I'm trying to help. No, it's okay. I don't take it personally, and I'm not actually mad. So don't worry about that. I know you're new here, but this happens. Don't take it personally. There's no actual malice in here. So you don't need to worry about that. Wonder if you've been going at this too long? I've been recording a lot of Arkham for a very long time. This is not the first time this has happened. Yeah, I mean, this seems great. There's a lot of good stuff here. George is an easy S tier. He's got deduction. Can't go wrong with that. He's also got contemplative. Still remember Epic Justin gets up and storms around the room tantrum? Yeah, that was a good one. It happens. It happens. Clip? I don't even know what video that was in. Yeah, I mean, George is an easy S tier. Let's look at his discard one more time. Let's just see what he has to discard. Because again, it's all about trying to hit that sooner rather than later and trigger it as much as possible. If you're not passionate, then what's the point? Amen. I'm also Italian, so I'm a little bit hot-headed. I need my gabagool. But no, you would know if I was actually mad because you would be banned. I'm not actually that upset by it. Yeah, Out of Crossroads is unusual discard, and it's also draw, so that is really nice. Yeah, no shot dissection tools is ever good. But we love Astute because Astute's a dreamer. Wow, Robert Castaigne, Unlimited Derringer. You're cooking, Astute. You're cooking. Yeah, and I think that was a good thing, so we should see the draw that he has as well. I mean, he has what? Thorough Inquiry is the big one. The card draw, I think, on Seeker is fine. There's nothing great. I actually think he gets better draw from his Survivor side. True Awakening's always good. Yeah. Like, I think the dude is obviously still incredibly good. I think he is still an easy S tier. Like, without question. But I do think that his consistency for discarding on turn 1 is going to go down enough that it is noticeable. So that's why I've dropped him below the Seekers. But he's still easy S tier. Like, he's still incredibly good. Like, he's still a very powerful investigator. But I just feel like Daisy and Harvey, at least in the current environment that we have right now, are going to be just more consistent at crushing the game. All right. Yeah, if he starts with Artistic, he's going to be great. And then if he upgrades and he gets the Bound for the Horizon. But I do know, I've seen George, I've played George. His mulligans, the 35 deck size is something. Like, that is... Well, it's actually not even 35, right? Like, what's his actual deck size? His deck size is higher than 35, right? It's what, 38? It's 40 cards? Yeah, it's 40 cards. That's really big. Like, and losing, like, even if it's just cornered, losing 2 of those cards. So now if you could only run like 6 as opposed to 8, that's something. Not enough to knock him down a tier, but I do think it's gonna be a noticeable change, especially if he doesn't get any stuff in the next cycle. Are you taking ample supplies? I don't think there's anything wrong with taking ample supplies with George. All right. We got one more cute little guy to talk about here. Charlie Kane. All right. This is every card that we've talked about so far. But I think we can all agree that the best place to start is with the allies. So Charlie is, on a good day, very powerful. But Charlie is also incredibly swingy already, not even taking Current into account. So where does Charlie live in this? Okay, let's start by doing this. You get... Let's start here. Alice, Alton, Beat Cop, Catbug, Dr. Milan, Field Agent, Gabriel Carrillo, Granny Orn, Greta Wagner, Lawrence, Lonnie, Robert again, Walter Fitzpatrick, Whitten Green. Okay. Devil, Aquina, Arcane Initiate, big X over that one. Bianca, I could fuck around with Bianca. Bianca can't pay for herself, but it is good economy for him. Chuck Fergus? I don't think so. Good icons, though, but expensive. Dr. Charles West III, I'd rather die. Dr. William T. Mailson, good icons, good passive ability. Well, not good passive ability, but good, like, soak. L, I don't think so. Familiar Spirit. Gurish, sign me up. I'll take him. Guard Dog, I'll take. Katarina, probably not. Katya is fine. Lab Assistant, I'll take. Leo DeLuca, I think very good. So I guess the question is, where are we making up our economy, right? Lonnie. Olive, probably, I mean, maybe, but probably not. How are we feeling, Chad? How are we feeling about this ally pool? So, Charlie's so interesting. He's so open. Yeah, and he did get the upgraded motivational speech. Was it also... He also has level 0 motivational speech too, right? Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Megaton Samurai, which I had to say again. I just love that username. It looks fine. Like, I'm not, like, screaming about it. But to be honest, I can't really tell you who I feel like he's lost. Apart from, like, the rogue ones. Who do we feel like are allies that he's lost here? Alright, let's go with Dunwich. Let's go with Carcosa. Let's go with the Forgotten Age. Let's go with, get out of here, no one likes you. Circle Undone. Dream. Inns. Edge. Alright, and then we go Charlie. Charlie bit me. Ally. And then we go like this. Yeah, the Summon Hound shenanigans. Alright, who do we feel like we're missing here? I mean, I like Alyssa. Alyssa's fine for level 0. We have upgraded Alice, but level 0 Alice is something. Art Student, I actually would miss. David, I'd miss. Delilah. Janae, she's very good. Jeremiah, Jessica, Lola, Medical Student. Miss Doyle is a big one. Peter Sylvester. No! Oh, shit, man. Yeah, Gregory Gry. Yep. Fucking Tetsuo is going to be such a big hole that the Guardian class is going to miss the hell out of. This is unrelated to Charlie. Like, Charlie could still play this guy, but, like, that's a big loss for Guardians. They're going to miss the hell out of him. So there's really not, like, too much that I'm, like, screaming about missing here. I mean, I think I did scream when I saw Tetsuo was gone, but that was unrelated. I think the cats are a big one. And I think Gregory Gry as well, because he's very easy to... You can use him while exhausted. You can use Gregory Gry as Charlie to pay off your own fucking bet. But I think his ally pool is pretty good. Okay, now how do I look at everything else? I guess we just have to do it, right? We just have to scroll through it. Grim, I mean, he can still do weapons. There's still a lot of weapons that he can use. You can go like Survivor, Rogue. You can go Rogue, Guardian. Robert Castaigne would still do a lot of work here. I mean, Seeker's obviously very good. I think Mystic still is going to be the odd one out for Charlie. Grim Memoir is very good. Charlie, how do you work? I guess you could play lockpicks. It seems very convoluted. And the Mausers too. You can still do Combat Charlie. I think Clues is always easier. Especially because there's just a lot of passive book. You have Witten, you have Milan, you have Alice, you have Field Agent. Yeah, they all are. You're not an ally, huh? You're just a guy. You're an alien. So I guess it really comes down to economy. And card draw. Yeah. And he has some stuff everywhere. I think Rogue 02 is fine economy. I think Kicking the Hornet's Nest is also kind of okay. I see draw. I guess it would be gain, right? Gain would be a good thing to search for that. No, because that'd be it gains. No, it's also against. Never mind. Let's do draw. Yeah. I mean, I think Charlie is looking pretty comfortable. All right, so Charlie, there's like Combat Charlie, and then there is like Kluver Charlie. And I think Kluver Charlie has a lot less stress on him. So like he is kind of probably A tier. And I think Combat Charlie will probably be B tier. So I think I'm just going to put Charlie behind Gloria in B tier. I think he's still very good. And you can do a lot of different things with him. But I think ultimately he is going to have some struggles. And I think they're just the usual Charlie struggles. But I think he has a very high top end. Okay, so now that we have done this, is there anything that I would like to change on this tier list? I think I'm going to make some modifications for the final tier list we have here. Unfortunately, no, the Ornate Bow is not in Current. I also can get rid of this. Go away. Okay. I'm going to drop Marion Tavares to the top of A tier. And I think that's looking nicer to me. Yeah, Vincent probably, I mean, you could still just do like a basic seeker thing and get things done. But at the same time, why not just play like a seeker that can do that with an ability, right? I think that's like why Vincent fell so low for me. I think I'm down for that. I could put Lucius before Jacqueline. I think Wendy, I think will do better than Lucius just because Survivor is very good. Do I want to change any of these? I think I could put Hank before Charlie. And I feel like I actually want to put Kate to the bottom of B tier. I think that looks good to me. I think that this is what we can lock this final tier list in. I do think that, so the reason why I'm putting Nacho at number 1 is that he's the best. No, I just feel like after a bunch of playing this game, I go through a lot of like shifts and stuff where I go like, oh no, clooving's more important or fighting's more important. And while for winning the game, clooving helps you win faster, if your fighter fumbles, you're fucked, right? Like you just fall behind so much. And when you fight as good as Nat Cho does, it needs to be rewarded. The dude is just insanely good at what he does. So, like, that's why he's just strong, because he's so good, right? Yeah, Nacho has never fumbled the bag. Like, the worst case scenario you see for Nacho is they go, I don't have my boxing gloves. And then an enemy shows up and he goes, oh, I'll just fucking bare knuckle him anyway. Yeah, and he just deletes threats that shows up. Michael McGlenn might fall down, but he's kind of following the same logic, is that I think he just fights very, very well. Like, I could see, like, Michael McGlenn even, like, being behind George, right? But I'm going to put him up here for now, just because I think, again, he fights very, very well. Exactly. Yeah. And Michael McGlenn also has surprisingly good defensive stats for a rogue. Like, 3-1-5-3, that's crazy. But I think what's really cool, apart from Mystic, there's a lot of diversity for these investigators across the classes. Like, Mystic always has the problem where, like, Mystic has the Mystic issue of the assets, but as we saw, there are 4+ brain, 4-book investigators, and that's pretty rough. But I think this is good. I'm going to lock this in. I'm going to take a picture of it. So this was really fun. I look forward to doing, like, revisiting this tier list after a year, right before the next cycle comes out, and we can, like, rotate things out. But this is kind of what Current's going to be. It's just like non-stop discussion about what investigators have, what they lose, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, which I think is super cool and super exciting. Huge thank you to everyone who watched this and came to hang out and chat. Reminder again, even though I freaked out and yelled. There was no animosity. I think you're all wonderful people. I was just, that's me, baby. Sometimes that happens. If you've been here for a stream long enough, it'll have happened to you. Unless your name is Astute Dunsparce, because I can't get mad at Astute for some reason. You're like a baby bird who's just here to fucking chirp, cheep in a nest. Can't get mad at that. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. And as always, a GG's.